Now, the new development bank has new leadership. It is Leslie Maasdorp, Qiangwu Zhou, and Vladimir Kazbekov. They take over as vice presidents of the institution. Now, the bank has been assisting BRICS countries to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. They've been key in that. Maasdorp, as we know, serving in several senior leadership roles. In this new role, he is expected to be responsible for treasury, finance, and accounting functions of the bank. Leslie, good morning to you. It sounds like you've got quite a lot on your plate. Of all the things I've mentioned, which is the one that's keeping you up at night as you take on this new venture?
Thanks very much, Gareth, for having me. As you know, I've actually been living in Shanghai in China and have been in this role already for 6 years. So the leadership transition announcement that you made reference to is on the 7th of July this year. We had the Board of Governors approve the leadership for the next term of the new development bank. Ordinarily, the plan would have been to rotate the leadership, meaning that there would have been each of the countries should have proposed new people. But we live in very exceptional circumstances, as you know, as a result of COVID. Even the board felt the critical need for maintaining institutional memory and sort of preserving and having a bit more continuity, if you like. So I've essentially been reappointed in the role that I have occupied for the last 6 years. The task going forward, though, is very different from before. When I arrived here in 2015, the bank did not exist. From a zero start then in July to today, 6 years later, we have approved infrastructure projects to the tune of $30 billion.
Sure.
And as you know, we've played a major role in all of the BRICS countries who've been ravaged by COVID, in supporting our member countries with the economic recovery, in supporting specifically on the additional resources that were required to fight the pandemic. So we've got our plate full with respect to our mandate to build sustainable infrastructure and to help our countries now recover from the damaging economic effects of COVID.
Let's talk about those effects. And if we break down to BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, obviously I'm going to ask the selfish question. You know what I'm going to ask. How much of the support, Leslie, is the NDB sending to South Africa? How big a piece of the pie are we getting?
So in March last year, I was actually in South Africa for the first 5 months of last year as a result of the COVID pandemic, because we weren't able to travel back to our headquarters. Last year, March, the bank put in place a $10 billion COVID response emergency facility. In other words, that $10 billion was available in equal proportions to the 5 BRICS countries. You will recall in April last year, South Africa applied for the first COVID response loan, so we provided $1 billion. In June last year, we disbursed that $1 billion. So in very quick succession after the loan was approved, we also disbursed the full $1 billion to South Africa. A few months ago, we approved a second loan to South Africa, which is the economic recovery loan. As you know, although we're obviously in the middle of a third wave now, but at the time, just before the third wave was evident, most of the focus was on the economic recovery side. As you know, so many small businesses have been ravaged by the pandemic. Businesses have closed down. So many jobs have been lost. So the economic recovery part in South Africa and in the other BRICS countries very much been focused on job preservation, new job creation opportunities. And that is what the government is focused on. We're only playing our role to support there.
Let me ask you about that very quickly. As you'll know, the Finance Minister, Tito Mboweni, he's expected today, Mr. Maasdorp, to unpack the economic recovery, economic sustainability, the support packages, if you will. As the Finance Minister does that, and obviously we're now talking about the new development bank, how much of the money that Tito Mboweni is going to talk about today in the 315 Rand grant, the tax reductions for small businesses, the alcohol industry. Last minute I have with you, Mr. Maasdorp, how much of that has come from your bank?
So the new development bank, our core mandate is sustainable infrastructure. Over the last number of years, we approved a wide variety of projects to the Development Bank of Southern Africa, to the Industrial Development Corporation. Those, for example, focus on renewable energy, where we are helping the country sort of get a more appropriate energy mix, if you like, because we are very coal intensive. As you know, most of our energy comes from Eskom, which is doing a lot of damage in form of carbon emissions and so on. We also have projects to expand the road network in South Africa to Sunra. We've got a $1 billion project there. Also a very large project that we will be launching soon in Lesotho, which is building additional dams that provide water. As you know, Gauteng is a water-scarce region, and the water comes through those tunnels, through the mountains into the Vaal River system in South Africa. So that's a water-related project. Specifically on COVID, $2 billion is roughly about 29 billion rand. That is the number, Gareth, that has come directly. It was approved and already have reached the shores of South Africa. 28 billion rand is the actual number that over the last year that we have provided in support to the South African government.
Sure, quite a lot of money indeed, and we don't know when it's going to end. For the moment, I'm going to wish you and your two colleagues all the very best in the new positions. I know it's a little while ago, but we're only having a chance to speak now. All the best for you and your new positions and the other vice presidents. Leslie Maasdorp joining us all the way. Well, he's normally over in Shanghai, but this morning joining us from Johannesburg, talking about the changes and developments at the new development bank.